Riyadh is in Streatham. Riyadh, good evening. What's your question?
Good evening, Daniel. Hi. I just wanted your opinion on a lawsuit I'm pursuing. On the 24th of May, I was offered a marketing executive role from a company through a third-party recruiter, which I then accepted. So it wasn't conditional, it was a guaranteed role. I then spoke to a person in the HR team on the 28th of May to confirm my right to work in the UK. My contract was then sent to me on the same day at about 5:11 p.m. Admittedly, multiple emails were sent to me to get the contract over, at least the first one, because and I had some family issues I had to deal with. So it took me a while, and then I had to get my references confirmed. And then once that was all done, I sent it off on the 4th of June because I had received a phone call from the HR team on the same day. I sent that contract about 4:24 p.m. Then the company revoked the offer roughly an hour after I'd sent the components over. So am I in a position to take the company to court on misconduct or any form of...
Okay, right. Couple of questions, Riyadh. First of all, how did you send them your acceptance and the documents and the signed contract? Was it by email?
By email, yeah.
Okay, fine. So they had it. They had it an hour before they revoked the offer.
Yeah, that's correct. I received the rescission. Sorry, the offer had been rescinded by the third-party recruiter. I received a phone call from her on the same day.
Do you happen to know if the offer was subject to references?
It was, and the references were put on the contract.
What does that mean, the references were put on the contract?
As in, they asked for the references on the contract as well, for people from previous roles.
Right, and did you send your references on the 4th of June when you sent in your signed contract, or...
Yeah.
So you sent everything in that email at 4:24 on the 4th of June?
Yeah.
Is it possible that they thought your references weren't up to scratch and that's why they revoked the offer an hour later?
No, because the references, as I said, I called the references even the day before to confirm that they were all right with being put on and they were still in the same companies and they still had the same telephone numbers. So there would be no way for them to think that the references were inaccurate or incorrect or...
Yes, but is it possible, Riyadh, that your referees, the people giving the references, said Riyadh's a lovely guy, but his work's pretty shoddy. He's takes too much time off work. I wouldn't employ him in a million years. Is that a possibility?
Well, that would be dependent on their opinions. But from what I gathered from speaking to them the day before, they seemed quite receptive. The publishing director I worked with was guided that I had to leave. It was due to a maternity. I was a maternity cover, and I couldn't be in a pool to.
Okay, fine. So here's the answer to the question. Two possibilities. Possibility number one is your references weren't up to scratch, and if the job was subject to references, and the references weren't up to scratch, then they are entitled to withdraw the job offer, and you have no claim. Option number two, if your references were up to scratch, or that wasn't the reason that they withdrew the offer, is that you do have a right to sue them, but for a very, very limited amount of money, which depends on two things, your notice period and your expected start date. What was your expected start date?
The 7th of June. So I sent the contract on the 4th.
Immediately. Is that a Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they dismissed you, or they revoked the offer on the Friday before the Monday?
They refused the offer on the Friday.
Yeah. What was your notice period in your probationary period?
Probationary period was a few months.
No, what was the notice period during your probationary period?
In regards to what?
Your contract would have said during your probationary period we can dismiss you on, say, 1 week's notice. Do you remember something like that?
Vaguely.
Okay, that's going to be how much compensation you're entitled to, Riyadh. If they're entitled to dismiss you during your probationary period on, say, a week's notice, then they could have dismissed you legally with just a week's notice, meaning that's the amount of compensation a tribunal will say you've lost out on by them revoking the offer. So you need to look at the contract. If it says you're entitled to a month's notice, then you'll get a month's salary. If it's a week's notice, you'll get a week's salary. If it's no notice, if it says we can dismiss you without notice in, say, the first month of employment, I'm really sorry, but you actually don't have any claim to bring at all because they're legally allowed to dismiss you for whatever reason.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Thank you very much.
All right, Riyadh, thank you so much for the call and good luck finding a new job soon. I hope it goes well.